This podcast is sponsored by Lamprobe. Lamprobe is a popular aesthetic tool that enables skincare practitioners to rapidly treat a wide variety of common minor skin irregularities, or MSI. Red MSI treated by Lamprobe include dilated capillaries and cherry angiomas, yellow MSI, cholesterol deposits and sebaceous hyperplasia, and brown MSI treated include skin tags and more. Lamprobe MSI treatments are non-invasive and deliver immediate results. Lamprobe can empower your skin practice with these new and highly in-demand services. For more information, visit lamprobe.com. That's LAMPROBE.com. And follow Lamprobe on social media at Lamprobe.
Welcome, everybody, to ASCP and the Rogue Pharmacist, Benjamin Knight Fuchs. In this episode, we will explore how fruits and vegetables, maybe, and color matter. And it could have some positive or negative effects on your skin. We'll find out. I am Tracy Donnelly, Executive Director of ASCP, and joining me and co-hosting is Maggie Staszcuk, our very own Education Manager. Hi, Maggie. How you doing?
Hey, Tracy. Doing good.
Oh, good. Well, I have a question for you, Maggie. I'm going to put you on the spot because you know I love to do that. Do you think you always eat the full color of the rainbow? When you look at your plate every day, are you eating all the colors in the rainbow?
I definitely am not. The color I love to eat most is green.
Oh, well, that's a good answer, because if you said yellow, then I'd be like, what are you eating, Maggie?
No, not yellow, but I love all the green veggies. I don't know, and I don't stray from it.
Wow. We'll have to take a closer look at her skin, Ben.
I'm curious what Ben has to say about that.
About green?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, of course, you guys know. We've got Ben here. He's going to give us all the details. He's going to break it down for us. So let's talk today a little bit about what it means to eat the color of the rainbow.
Yeah. So what are colors? Do you ever think about that? Like, what are colors?
I think, are you meaning like why does a food have color?
Well, that's a good question too. But no, what is color? What is color exactly? I mean, look at our world. Look how colorful.
Vitamins.
Look how colorful our world is.
It's pigments.
I always thought that colors were like proof of God. Because things could be black and white.
You're getting philosophical on us.
Yeah, because the world could, not even proof of God, but proof of how amazing God is. Because the world could be black and white. Why does it have to be colors? Look how beautiful the world is.
To keep us interested.
Partially that's true. That's not that's not an exaggeration. Insects respond to colors by going to the plant, to pollinate the plant. And what's one of the major reasons why plants have colors. We can see about 10 million shades. That's incredible, right?
That's incredible.
I mean, think of the world. There's 10 million shades around us. Isn't that amazing, the kind of world we live in? Imagine a painting like that would have 10 million different shades.
We should never be bored.
We should never be bored.
Never.
That's exactly right. Just the colors that exist. So what exactly are colors? Colors are nothing more than the same thing everything else is. The whole world that we think is so solid is not solid at all. It's all energy, and colors are just energy.
Colors are energy.
That's all they are. They're electrical energy, electromagnetic energy. What makes red different from violet, the basic colors. You remember Roy G. Biv?
Yeah.
Remember that? Because the basic colors are Roy G. Biv, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with yellow. You were like insulting yellow there.
Well, because it sounds like it's carbs. And I guess I'm anti-carb lately.
Yellow is the third on the spectrum. But what is this Roy G. Biv thing? It's the 7 major colors, but they're all, what makes red different from orange and yellow or green, or makes all the colors different, is electromagnetism. Oh, red, and this is so cool.
This is blowing my brain.
Okay, so what makes something red? Red is nothing more than a specific amount of times a protein in your eye vibrates. If it vibrates a certain amount of times, it will become red. You'll perceive it as red. Your brain will interpret the vibration as red. If it vibrates another amount of times, your brain will interpret it as orange or as yellow. It's the amount of times the protein, a specific protein in your eye, in a specific cell in your eye, vibrates. If it vibrates at one speed, it becomes red. Another speed, it becomes orange and yellow, and on and on and on. Red, by the way, vibrates at the slowest. And guess what vibrates at the highest? What's the color that's associated with spirituality and that's associated with royalty?
Purple.
Exactly. Purple vibrates at the highest, or violet vibrates at the fastest. And this is one of the reasons why throughout history, violet has been associated with kings and royalty, and the Phoenician Empire became the Phoenician Empire because they figured out how to get purple from a certain kind of crustacean in the ocean. They became this great empire. And so here's what's really amazing though. When I say it vibrates at a different amount of time, I'm talking a lot of vibrations. Red vibrates, the protein in your eye, 429 trillion times a second. A second. And violet vibrates at 750 trillion times a second. Now just picture that. How can something vibrate 750 trillion times a second? So the point being that if it vibrates at a certain speed, it becomes one color. If it vibrates at another speed, it becomes another color. That's all color is. It's just vibration. It's the amount of vibration. Like everything else, shouldn't really be a surprise because everything is vibration. But
it is a surprise to think that it's doing it right now as I'm looking at that, red coaster right next to you.
Yes, that red coaster is red because of the amount of times it's vibrating per second. So color itself is nothing more than vibration. But so what does this have to do with health and skin?
Yeah.
A lot.
Okay.
Because the ability that colors have to vibrate allows them to have tremendous electrical effects on the body. And their major effects on the body involve electricity, involve electronics, we'll say. So in the body, our bodies show up as healthy or not healthy, even though we talk about chemistry a lot, we talk about food a lot in the program, we talk about products a lot, chemistry a lot. The body ultimately is an electromagnetic phenomena, and its health is electromagnetic. And what colors do is they recalibrate the electrical energies of the body at different frequencies. So in biology or in chemistry or in electronics, there's this phenomenon called resonance, where, tuning fork thing,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So if you hit a tuning fork, the next tuning fork will vibrate. So that's really how the body operates. All the things that we talk about chemistry, when we talk about chemicals, are really resonance devices. They're helping the body resonate, the cells of the body and the molecules of the body resonate at just the right frequencies. That's what colors do. Except they don't just do it in one frequency, they do it in all the different frequencies with certain main ones. And the main ones in terms of biology and in terms of food are the 7 main colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And this is where what they call the pigments, the plant pigments, tend to vibrate in the largest concentrations. There's subtleties within that, but the largest groupings of frequency modulation or frequency resonance systems are those major colors. Now you asked about green. As it turns out, of all the pigments on Earth, green is the most abundant. Right? So what is the molecule that carries the green pigment? Chlorophyll is unbelievably valuable and unbelievably fascinating. The molecule chlorophyll looks like the most important molecule in your blood, which is what? What's the molecule in your blood that carries oxygen? Hemoglobin, right? If you look at chlorophyll, like even in on Google Images, if you look at the famous way molecules are drawn with the little sticks and atoms, but under a microscope or on Google Images or wherever, it looks exactly
like hemoglobin?
Exactly. In fact, it is hemoglobin with one exception. I know, it's amazing, right?
I know.
They're the same molecule with one exception. The hemoglobin or the chlorophyll molecule is a ring, this gorgeous ring. I mean, I don't want to be a nerd or anything, but even a layperson would appreciate it. It's so symmetrical and beautiful and structured. It looks like a mandala. Mandala, like those Indian symbols. Yeah, it looks like that. I mean, this is a molecule that looks like a mandala, but in the center of the chlorophyll molecule is a little atom of magnesium. Magnesium tends to be green. Magnesium vibrates at the frequency or the resonance of green. Hemoglobin has that exact same mandala, exactly, except in the center of hemoglobin is iron. And iron tends to vibrate at the color of red, it has a slower frequency. So chlorophyll helps you build blood. It helps you make blood. It's considered to be a blood builder because the molecule chlorophyll is essentially the same as the molecule hemoglobin, and the body can use the chlorophyll molecule. The ring is called a porphyrin ring, and the body can use the porphyrin molecule to make blood. So chlorophyll is an amazing blood builder.
Okay, I have to ask a question about chlorophyll really fast because I am obsessed because of the fact that you take the chlorophyll drops all the time. I've been putting them in my water.
Yeah.
But is it effective, or does it have to be in vegetables?
Heck yes.
It is.
Heck yes.
Yes. Score one for me.
In vegetables, you get all these other cofactors with it, but just the chlorophyll molecule is a porphyrin ring with that's exactly like hemoglobin, except it has a magnesium and an iron. Plus, that tells you that chlorophyll is also a great source of magnesium. And magnesium is a very important mineral, especially for women. Chlorophyll is a blood builder, but also has a magnetic structure because of its shape, has an ability to track things magnetically. So it's a great detoxifier. It's a great, what they say, a chelating agent. Remember we talked about dirty blood. We talked about dirty blood a lot. Chlorophyll chelates toxins from the blood. So it magnetically pulls things out of the blood. That's why it's used in mouthwashes and in gums.
This is like magic.
This is like magic.
If someone's not taking chlorophyll,
yes.
I don't know what
if
they're
somebody's
doing.
not taking
You better
chlorophyll,
get
you're missing the boat.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I want to see if you guys remember this. You probably don't remember this. You might remember this. Remember certs?
Oh gosh, yes.
A powerful drop of Retsin.
Oh,
remember,
yes.
Retsin was like a little chlorophyll thing.
They would bite on it and it would go.
Yeah. So chlorophyll's a great deodorant. It's a great detoxifier. It's a great chelating agent, and it's a great blood builder. And it's also got tremendous digestive system, intestinal cleansing properties because of its ability to attract things. So chlorophyll supplements are really valuable, but you don't need to have chlorophyll supplements. You can use
Vegetables.
Like
the real thing.
Yes,
I know.
Exactly.
I just like a hack.
Exactly. You can use vegetables, but here's the thing. Pigments, including chlorophyll, in vegetables are sticky. One of chlorophyl's actions is it sticks to things. In fact, have you ever got chlorophyll on your clothes? It ain't coming out.
I try not to because it looks real scary.
Yeah, and it's not coming out.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to wash that out, right? Even on your hands, it sticks to your hands, right? So the stickiness of these pigments creates a problem. Because as important as they are for our health, and they're especially important for the skin, by the way, as important as they are for their health, they require a lot of digestive machinery. They require a lot of digestive processing for the body to be able to pull those pigments out of the vegetables. And as we get older, that doesn't happen as much. And if we have digestive problems, that doesn't happen as much, especially if we have issues with the liver and with, as I said earlier, my favorite and one of my favorite, and certainly the most underappreciated fluid in the body, which is bile. If you're not making enough bile, or if your bile is sticky and sludgy, like we talked about toxic blood, you can also have toxic bile, and your bile doesn't get cleansed properly. You're not going to be able to pull those toxins or those pigments out of the foods, and you're going to run into pigment deficiencies. And this can show up as skin problems. It can show up as all kinds of health problems because, as I was saying earlier, the pigments have this resonance thing where they vibrate to kind of recalibrate the various cells and the various molecules inside the body. If you're not absorbing your pigments, you're not going to be able to detoxify or readjust imbalances and frequency changes. Many of these frequency changes result in what we call oxidation, and many of these
we've talked about that a bit, haven't we?
Many of these frequency modulating toxins are said to be free radicals. Well, guess what? Pigments are powerful, maybe nature's most powerful antioxidants and free radical scavengers. So as we get older and our ability to pull pigments out of fruits and vegetables becomes compromised, we're not going to be able to do that. We're not going to be able to have access to these free radical scavenging effects. And that's one of the reasons we age so fast and why aging is associated with digestive problems. So there's little tricks that you can use to help the body pull those pigments out. And the first thing to do is make sure your digestive system is working right. And if you have any kind of liver problems, correct those, or intestinal problems. But another thing you could do is use fats with your pigments. If you use fats with your pigments, you'll help the body access those pigments more readily.
Does that mean like butter on your veggies kind of thing?
Exactly. Butter on your veggies.
Oh, that's such a tough request. I don't know if I can do it.
Always put butter on your veggies. Exactly. And as we were saying earlier, the combination of the sugars that are released from veggies when they're cooked, plus butter, plus salt, is really irresistible. So another thing you could do is make sure that you're using digestive enzymes and bile salts supplementally with your foods. Juicing is another great strategy. Juicing can help you access those pigments. And veggie juicing, to me, is, I don't know why. If we really cared about health in this country, we would have national veggie juice insurance, where every American gets a Vitamix and vegetables are on the government.
Welcome to the planet.
Yeah, that would be a healthy planet. Because the nutritional value of veggie juices is so important and so underappreciated, largely because you have access to these pigments.
Do you have a favorite veggie juice recipe that you'll share with us later?
That's interesting you ask that, because people do ask me that all the time.
Bet.
And you know what I always say?
What?
I always say, go with your intuition. Maggie intuited that green is her color. that chlorophyll is important. And there's probably a reason for that, why chlorophyll is important. Your intuition was, hey, that's what I want. That's what I need is green. And you could probably do the same thing. If you feel, go to the grocery store.
What's the base? What would you say is your base? I mean, there's always a base.
I like cucumber and celery.
Okay, there we go.
You know why?
Because it's so watery and yummy and fresh.
Yes, it's watery.
And it could taste sweet too.
Well, the water component of vegetables is magic water. Did we talk about magic water before?
No.
We never talked about magic water. So you remember there's 3 kinds of water, right? Or 3 shapes water take, or forms water take. What are the 3 forms of water?
Ice or hard liquid.
Yeah.
Gas.
Yeah. Ice, liquid, gas, steam, liquid water. But there's a 4th one that they don't tell us about because they just kind of discovered it a few years ago. It's called magic water. It's not.
Oh, I love it. We all are like, yes, Ben, tell us.
I just like magic. So I call it magic water. But it's really called structured water.
Oh, it really is.
Yes, it's structured water. And it's water that has a specific structure that allows it to conduct energy very effectively. And this, when you drink structured water, it allows your body's water to conduct energy much more effectively. And the structured water is super electroconductive. It's actually crystalline. The reason it conducts energy is because it's crystalline. It has a crystalline shape. And you may have heard of this guy Masaru Emoto. Have you ever heard of this guy? He was a Japanese scientist, and he had 2 bottles of water, and he put one that said "I hate you" and one that said "I love you," and then he examined the water after like a month of "I hate you" versus "I love you," and the "I hate you" water was all disorganized and out of form, and it lost its structure, and the "I love you" water was structured
because of the bad energy.
Just because of bad energy.
Oh
exactly.
My gosh,
and
I love that. I'm going to check that out.
Yes, Masaru Emoto.
Okay.
But the idea being that the more structured water we ingest, the more structured our water is.
Okay.
And this is one reason why people will drink a lot of water and not notice any changes in their skin or notice any changes necessarily in their body, because the water they're ingesting doesn't have the right structure.
See, I think we should actually do a whole water podcast because I have so many different, like charged water, low pH, alkaline water, like all these different things.
Those are not the water itself, the alkaline water. The molecule, the H2O molecule has not been changed. They add things to the water to make it alkaline or acid. But what I'm talking about is actually a change in the way the H2O molecules are structured in the bottle or in the whatever you're doing. But nature structures its water, structures its vegetables naturally, or the water in its vegetables naturally, which is why I was saying celery and cucumber. My dad used to call these rabbit foods. And he didn't respect the celery or the lettuce. And most people don't. They don't realize that celery and lettuce and cucumber, by virtue of the structuring in the water, are just as valuable as the more dense vegetables that have a lot more nutrition, strict nutritional value. So my base is always, to answer your question, is always celery and cucumber to get that structured water. And then I like spicy things, And then I don't like tomato too much, but I'll always put a little tomato. Tomato's got a really interesting pigment in it called lycopene, which you probably heard of. That's not found in a lot of vegetables. Watermelons have it and a little bit, but tomatoes are the main source of lycopene. And you probably remember lycopene.
What do you need that for?
Well, you need it for a lot of things. And we'll talk about pigment in the skin here in a second, but for the prostate, that's where lycopene really shines. That's where it has its claim to fame.
So we don't have to worry about it, Maggie.
No, you do still. You do still, because here's one thing about pigments. We're here to talk about skin, right?
Right.
The skin is a major depository of pigments. And when you eat reds and oranges and greens and yellows, they get digested, they go into your bloodstream, and they get deposited in your skin to protect you from the sun. And that's one of the main ways we're supposed to protect our skin from the sun, is by eating vegetables, by eating the pigments in vegetables, also protecting our eyes from the sun. And so people who are terrified of going out in the sun, they'd be much better off eating a lot of vegetables. And people who are putting on sunscreens will be much better off making sure they're getting all their pigments in addition to other nutrients. We grew up in the sun, and nobody wore, from an evolutionary perspective, we didn't wear sunblock or sunscreen. It wouldn't really make a lot of sense for the body to be that challenged by solar energy, because we grew up in the sun. We actually grew up in Africa, is where the human body grew up. So really the problem with people being sensitive to the sun is much more about malnourished skin, especially when it comes to pigments. So making sure you're getting enough pigments, number one, but then helping your body access those pigments with fats, with fatty nutrients that help your body process fats, and also with juicing.
Is the same concept applied to, vegetables like spicy vegetables and your nightshades and those vegetables that have those defense mechanisms to ward off, say, bugs. If you're going to eat a lot of those, are you then not going to get bit by a mosquito?
No, it won't necessarily. It won't necessarily translate that way. But you did raise an interesting point, and in fact, there's a lot of people who stay away from vegetables now because have you heard about the carnivore diet?
No.
It's the all meat diet or all animal food diet.
Yeah, because it supposedly helps with
Rheumatoid.
autoimmune issues,
Correct.
right?
Because as Maggie pointed out, there's these defensive molecules that plants make. Plants make molecules to punish the intrepid eater who would dare to munch on the wheat or the grain or whatever it is. And those molecules can have an immune stimulating property or immune activating property, and they are associated with various autoimmune diseases. In fact, there's this doctor, The Plant Paradox. Have you heard of this book, The Plant Paradox? Yeah, it was kind of like in the news, and it's a bestseller now. And he claims that you shouldn't, you got to be really careful with vegetables. His point is well taken, but that doesn't mean you want to throw out the baby with the bathwater necessarily, because vegetables are so powerful, and there's so many things in vegetables. And by the way, I should mention this. Meat, when it's grilled, can create toxic compounds. The phytonutrients in plants, and especially the pigments, can neutralize those compounds. So always when you're grilling meat or cooking meat or any kind of protein, put veggies on top of it. And the veggies on top of it, the pigments from the veggies.
Like cream spinach?
Spinach is, no, not cream spinach. No,
I tried, guys.
I don't know. It's cream spinach is, I don't know how you make cream spinach, but it's cream, right?
Dairy in it, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
I could put butter in it.
You might be able to do that. Yeah, butter and spinach. And then spinach is really a really interesting food. Popeye ate spinach, right?
Yeah, because he was strong.
Yeah, but he didn't eat meat. Why did he eat spinach? Do you ever think of that?
Oh.
What is it about spinach?
Well,
should we say that because we're running out of time?
It's full of iron and fortifying for those muscles.
It has iron, that's true, but it also has the most important muscle building, or in muscle building we say anabolic. Anabolic means building, but it's not just muscles, it's skin. Anabolism also affects the skin. So it's an organ building, muscle building, skin building substance, which is found in vegetables, in large amounts in vegetables, and that's nitrogen.
Oh, okay.
And farmers all know they have to have nitrogen-rich soil in order to grow plants. So that's why spinach is so important.
So it was a methodical decision.
Yes.
Not
they
just
gave
like, give them some spinach.
Isn't that interesting how we ate spinach?
Interesting.
Like, why spinach of all things?
That's crazy.
It was the nitrogen.
Okay, I have one more question
spinach
for you.
also has anabolic steroids in there, anabolic molecules in there too.
Okay, I have one more quick question for you. So you mentioned the carnivore diet. You've mentioned, nightshades and all that stuff. So, a lot of people are talking about eating for your dosha, right?
Eating for your dosha.
Yeah. Do you know that?
I vaguely remember doshas. Is that like Vata, Pitta, Kapha?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
they call them doshas, right?
Yeah,
the three doshas, the Vata, Pitta, Kapha. You are like way Vata.
How did you know? I actually just found that out.
Maggie's got some Pitta Kapha going on there.
Yeah, I'm totally Vata. And
there's a little Vata.
And I just found
you're like over the top Vata.
I guess, yeah. I didn't know that.
I am too.
And I just found out that Vata people should kind of try to stay away from
calming things.
Yeah, like I love broccoli, I love eggplant, I love all these different like those kinds of things, and they said we shouldn't. You're
probably more root vegetables, I would think.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah, like potatoes, turnips, those yams, those kinds of things.
Boring.
Yams?
Well, I love yams.
Yams are great. Yams are the most important food for a woman.
Okay.
Filled with like natural. I
just wanted to hear what you thought about this whole dosha, eating for the dosha.
I don't know about eating for the dosha. I would think eating for you.
Yeah.
Eating for your type. And the best way to know for you is to go by you. I don't necessarily like these kinds of standard diets, cookie cutter diets and cookie cutter programs for everybody, because there's this biochemical individuality and we're so subtle. There's so much nuances in our bodies. I say go with your intuition. I always say
intuition.
Yeah. When you go to the grocery store, look at the veggies. What jumps out at you? What feels right to you? And don't let your mind get in the way, but just kind of go with your body. The body doesn't lie. The somatic intelligence transcends the mental intelligence. There's a built-in wisdom to the body that we really override to our detriment, to our health detriment by thinking so much. And the body kind of will tell you things. So go buy the vegetables and see what feels right to you. That's to me, that's the best way to decide.
I think that is awesome advice. I love that. I think that we do get in the way of our own mind. So yeah.
Our minds get in the way of our bodies.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for today. And I think hopefully this has inspired everybody to kind of think about the rainbow. And what
Eat
is
the
that?
rainbow.
Eat the rainbow, right? Yeah, eat the rainbow. This is the Rainbow Connection. I so want to sing that song right now, but I'm not going to. I'm going to hold back. Yes, I'm holding back. Anyhow, thank you so much, everybody. And of course, all of this information will be in the show notes. We're going to make sure we've got some lists in there. We're going to make sure that the tricks are in there of how to pull out the nutrients from all of these veggies. And thank you so much. And if you're not an ASCP member, please join. You will love it. So much cool stuff, as well as the best in liability insurance out there. And of course, if you love this, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. And thank you if you love Ben. Who doesn't? We all do. You can see him and hear more from him at brightsideben.com. I'll say it one more time. brightsideben.com.
Thank you.
All right, that's it. Eat that rainbow.
There's so many songs about rainbows and what's on the other side.